You know, and you're crying and you're supposed to walk on stage and talk to people. Yeah. Let's take a few breaths together, shall we? Exhale first. Yeah, take a deep breath in. And let it go. Deep breath in. Let go. Yeah, one more together. Breathe in. And let go. So this month our theme has been loving out loud. And there's a reading that had come to mind, something that used to get posted on Facebook and other places a lot a few years ago, and I've probably read this to you before at some point, but I thought this was kind of perfect for the conversation we've been having. And it's called Dear Human, and it's written by someone named Courtney Walsh. Maybe you've heard it before. Take a deep breath. Dear human, you've got it all wrong. You didn't come here to master unconditional love. That's where you came from, and that's where you'll return. You came here to learn personal love, universal love, messy love, sweaty love, crazy love, broken love, whole love, infused with divinity, lived through the grace of stumbling, demonstrated through the beauty of messing up often. You didn't come here to be perfect. You already are. You came here to be gorgeously human, flawed and fabulous. And then to rise again into remembering. But unconditional love, stop telling that story. Love, in truth, doesn't need any other adjectives. It doesn't require modifiers. It doesn't require the condition of perfection. It only asks that you show up and do your best, that you stay present and feel fully, that you shine and fly and laugh and cry and hurt and heal and fall and get back up and play and work and live and die as you. It's enough. It's plenty. I just love that. It's a sweet reminder that this thing called love that we are seeking to practice as our spiritual practice, as our perception, that we're learning to live out loud, is not something that's always all ushy and gushy and feels great. Living out loud, loving out loud is something that we have to practice. It's something we have to cultivate. It's something that we have to become. And it's easy to practice love when it's easy to practice love. The fun part is practicing love when it's not so easy, when we feel hurt, when we feel vulnerable, when we're not really sure what the outcome might be or how we're being perceived by the other person, right? Radical love, loving out loud, is a radical practice, right? I think to, a guy on top of a hill a couple thousand years ago telling people, love your enemy. Do good to those who hurt you. Pray for those who would harm you. Right? That's Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. That's the message right there. It's to love those who hate you, pray for those who would hurt you, do good to those who would wish you harm. That's a serious invitation. Right? How many of you actually feel like you got that one down? Because I'm still practicing. Right? And there's lots of opportunities in the world right now to practice that one. There's lots of opportunities to look at that which looks like hate, to look at that which looks like someone wanting to harm, that looks like all of this separation and pain, and we get to say, how would love show up in the face of that? What does it actually look like to live from a place of love that's so wholly embodied that it becomes transformational? I was talking to a mentor of mine in the last week, and we were having this conversation about how does love show up in the face of injustice? How does love show up in the face of hate? How does love show up in these times where we have to show up, and yet it's tricky? And one of the things that he reminded me of is, he said, when Dr. King was organizing the marches and all of the work that he was doing, part of that was a lot of work happening in the background. Getting everyone so deeply steeped in the principles of nonviolence so that when they marched, when the people came at them with the dogs or the baton or whatever it is, that you don't react. That you be a place that pulls the humanity out of the person who's seeking to harm you because you don't meet them there. That's a level of radical love that takes some deep cultivation on the side of the person who's willing to show up. It's the same methodology that Gandhi used in India 100 years ago, right? To say we're going to walk down to the shore and we might get hit. We might have to line up and take a beating, one person after the next. But what happened is eventually those who were the perpetrators, their hearts were cracked open and said, what the hell am I doing? Right? That's the kind of love we have to be cultivating in the world that we're living in these moments and these times, to be so deeply connected to a source of love that is undrainable, that is not conditional, that is something that we are practicing in every moment, in every condition, in every circumstance, in every situation. One of the things that I know is when we ask the universe for opportunities to practice something, it gives them to us. I can't tell you how many times I've told to myself, I am going to practice patience. And then I leave my house. And everywhere there is opportunities to practice patience. One of my great opportunities to practice patience is when I'm driving. Because I think I'm the only intelligent driver in the world. And I have to be very patient with everyone else who's learning. Ever feel that way? And that's the practice, right? Is to realize that we're all in the practice. And that every single day, every interaction, every moment, there's going to be opportunities to ask ourselves, how would love show up for this person? How would love show up in the face of this information? How would love show up in this interaction? How would love show up? How? Right? Because if we truly want to live out loud, it's not just in the places where it's easy. It's not just in the folks that we're all lovey and feeling good with when we come here on Sunday and it's like, ooh, bubble of love, it feels so great. We practice. But then we take that out. So that when we find ourselves triggered, when we see someone else in pain, when someone needs our help, the love is there and able to show up as us. And that has to come from a deep relationship with love ourselves. And that has to start from a place of self-love and cultivating our connection to that ourselves. Because one of the things that I realize is that anyone who's seeking to hurt, anyone who's seeking to harm, anyone who's seeking to other is doing so out of some pain. I've heard it said that everything is either a call for love or a cry for love. And sometimes when we don't know what love is, we cry for it in ugly ways. Because we're so desperate for it. Because actually love is the truth of who we are. It is the ground of our being. It is the core of each and every person. And so many people are living in a world where that does not get reflected back to them. That love is who you are. And so we have to practice it. We have to cultivate it. Because you can't give something you don't have. And if we want to be a people who see anything change in our own lives or in the world, then we have to be able to show up as transformational agents of love. And really, really, really ask ourselves, what does that mean? What does it mean to live from a place of love for planet? What does it take to live from a place of love for the other, whomever that might be, whatever face the other might wear? What does it take for us to live and be so in love with life that we truly give ourselves wholly and completely and stop holding ourselves back? Because oftentimes the thing that's holding us back is fear. It's fear of being seen for how loving we are, fear of not being loved, fear of being forgotten, fear. We have to cultivate it, but we have to contact it. We have to find it within ourselves, and that's going to take spiritual practice. We actually have to sit in contemplation, in connection, in prayer, in meditation, whatever your practice is. The core of all spiritualities, the core message, the true message is God is love. Anyone who tells you anything other than that is telling you something else. I wouldn't listen to them. If anyone tells you God is hatred, God is fear, God is anger, that's not God. That's something else. God is love, and that is all. A number of years ago, I was in a moment in my life where I really felt like I didn't know what love was. And I remember sitting in a meditation, sitting for quite some time, and I just started to ask myself, God, my higher self, the universe, what is love? And I remember a very powerful moment in that meditation where I was sitting, and I suddenly just started to feel heavy. And in that heaviness, I started to feel held. And I started to realize that the very love of the earth herself was holding me through the power of her gravity. That love is this very presence that surrounds us everywhere we go. And in that moment, I felt myself held by gravity, held by the earth, held by the arms of the mother, and then realized to myself, what if love is a force like gravity in the universe? That love is a force that draws all things towards itself. That the more we gather love together, the more love force, the more gravity, the more power that has to draw more love to us. The greater love we cultivate within ourselves, we begin to radiate it, we begin to shine it, and we call more into our experience. We become the place where it happens. I want us to be a people who can know deeply within ourselves that love is the very thing that we are made of, that surrounds us, that fills us, that is breathing us, that's holding us to the earth itself. Because if we ever want to arrive at a world that works for everyone, which is Center for Spiritual Living's mission in the world, which is really about building the beloved community on a global level, where we all are feeling the sense of interconnectedness and inter-support and loving of each other and celebrating the unity in diversity, we have to learn how to love real big, y'all. Because that love has to be something that's so fierce and so powerful and so fabulous that nothing unlike it can stand.
That's right.
Because we know that the power of love is greater than anything. But do we really believe it? Do we believe in the power of love as strongly as those who we might want to point a finger at believe in love or hate? Do we live our lives as if love is the thing that we stand for beyond anything? Because we know there are people in the world who are doing everything they can to spout their messages of hate from the rooftops, to travel around the countries and share their ideas with each other. Are we that motivated about love and peace? About building a world that works for everyone? Are we that activated as the things that we see going, oh no, that's wrong, that needs to stop? Are you as impassioned as you see them? Because if we come from love and we know that that is stronger than hate, stronger than fear, stronger than separation, then we should be lit up, y'all. So where's the disconnect? I think it's because we have to first plug ourselves into that source of love so that we are so filled by it that we don't feel depleted. so that we can keep giving from that place of overflow, which means we have to contact it every day in some way or another. Because we've all heard the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto yourself, right? You can't follow that rule if you don't love yourself first. And so what I see in the world is a lot of people giving the very love they feel they're worthy of. And it's empty, and it's broken, and it's in pain. And so if we cultivate a sense of love and acceptance and openness and connection and healing, perhaps that's the opening that we all need to lead us into something more. So we're going to be cultivating more and more and more conversations and opportunities to deepen into this as we develop more as a community. Because there's a lot of things that need our attention. There's a lot of things that need our love. There's people in this community who need our support. Let's figure out how to be that in the biggest, most contagious way possible as a force of love, an evolution, a revolution of love. So this is our practice. It's ongoing. We're never going to get it perfect, but we're going to keep perfecting it. So take a deep breath in. Let go. Another deep breath in. Let go. And so as we breathe, I invite each one of us first to just feel the weight of our bodies in the chair. And feel for a moment that we are being held, each one of us, by a force of love that so powerfully and yet gently holds us to the surface of the earth. Each one of us are being held by the arms of the mother. And then take a deep breath in and realize that not only are we being held, but we are being breathed by something greater than ourselves. What I know is that there is one seamless presence that is living and breathing throughout the entirety of the universe, unfolding in, through, and as everyone and everything, everywhen, and everywhere. I call that presence God, but we also know that that presence is love. So we can be in this moment realizing that each one of us is being breathed by love itself. We are being breathed. We are being held. We are being lived. And so today, let each one of us just be in that awareness a little bit deeper. To invite ourselves to be the place where love shows up in this world. To allow each one of us to be an opening, to be willing to go deep within ourselves and contact that presence of love so that it can rise up through us and be our words, be our choices, be the steps we take in the world, be the actions that we make. What if each one of us lived as if we were a place where the love of spirit, where the love of life, where the love of God was giving itself to the world in, through, and as each one of us? For what if God so loved this world so much that it gave it you? How would you live if you realized and knew? How would each one of us live if we truly knew that we were the answer to a prayer? We were the emergence of a dream that came from the mind of God. And that our purpose is to reveal love in our own unique and individualized way, but to give ourselves to life wholly and completely. Let each one of us be an opening today to allow love to come through us in a new way. And to let the mantra in our mind simply be, what would love do now? And then in the next moment, what would love do now? And in the next, and in the next, and in the next. And so in this moment, again, I just speak a word of gratitude for this experience that we call community. The place to experience love, to be enveloped in it, to feel what it could feel like, and then to take that love out into the world and to practice it, to reveal it, to gift it to those who weren't in this room with us. And so let us just take another deep breath and again surrender, remembering that we're being breathed by something greater than ourselves. That presence that is holding us, that presence that is breathing us, it's beating our hearts. The one heart beats in all of us. Let us remember it and reveal it everywhere we go. And so it is.